Alright, hi guys, welcome back to PKFX YouTube trading channel. So this will be a very quick trade update on the two trades that I took this week that I have pretty much closed out. So to start off with, both the trades ended up as a winners, and the first trade was USDJPY. So this particular trade, very straightforward. The weekly was a buy, daily was a buy, 4-hour was a buy, and I decided to continue with the trend to buy. And for this particular trade, I took a decision to enter based on the 2-hour time frame when I saw this particular candle over here, which was a very solid liquidity grab and came back and closed like this, and it closed above the 2-hour EME, and the next candle printed very strong as an engulfing candle that also shifted the previous structure, which was a sell, into a buy when it broke this particular structure point. So that was my entry point, where I did mention that ideally we wanted to break above and then on a pullback we enter, but because I saw that playing out, I decided, all right, let's just go ahead and buy. And after that, for the 2-hour candlestick, it did create a bullish flag pattern and eventually a very strong breakout to the upside. And as we can see, after that, it never really broke the 2-hour EME. And if I go to the 4-hour candlestick pattern, it continued to rally all the way up. And right now, as I speak, I kind of closed out this trade over here at a 1 to 2.37 risk to reward, which I would say is a good win. What I tried doing was to move my stop loss to my 1 to 2 risk to reward take profit region, and then I wanted the winner to continue running. I went down to the 15 minutes candlestick pattern and I started monitoring if the 15 minutes is actually turning into a sell. Am I getting a shift of structure for it to turn into a sell? And to be fair, it did not really turn into a sell yet, because if I were to look at the structure point, ideally, if this was the higher high, then if I were to put it into scale, if this was the higher high, then pretty much this was the higher low. And as we can see, the 15 minutes did not come anywhere close down here. I did set my particular take profit based on the 2-hour candlestick. So what I did is, if I zoom in, you can clearly see that I set my take profit over here, which is right below the next bullish 2-hour candle that printed out. And I said that as long as this trade is gonna create a bull flag, it's probably gonna keep pumping up, so I want to continue holding the trade. But I would say a little unfortunate, I did get wicked out over here. So this particular candle, this particular 2-hour candle, was the one that closed out my trade as I moved my stop loss to this take profit region. If this particular candle did not happen, I'm probably still in the trade. But yeah, no regrets. I managed to catch from 1 to 2 to 1 to 2.37, which is pretty decent. And it's not about scoring a one particular winning trade that's like like a home run trade or something like that, right? Our trading is based on batches of trades that we are taking, and the goal is to have quite a good number of wins over a big batch of trades that we are taking, right? So we move on to the next trade, regardless whether it's a win or a loss. Now, next particular trade is EURJPY that I closed out in a smaller profits, and the reason is because this trade as well, when I saw that this trade was actually pushing towards the upside over here, I entered, and immediately the trade went into a drawdown, and I actually almost got stopped out, but the 4-hour EME somehow acted as a support. So another quick lesson learned over here is that just because the 4-hour EME is coming in as a dynamic support does not mean that the market cannot go below it and wick below it, right? So if I were to set the stop loss something like this, I would have been stopped out from the trade. But because I gave a good amount of space, right, I can see that I managed to pass through that wick out, and then eventually the market curled and the dynamic resistance held, and it started pushing towards the upside, and eventually started rallying towards the upside. And this particular trade, ever since I entered, it has been doing the higher highs and higher lows. So this was the highest point, higher high, this was the higher low. From here, it created the new higher low, and then the new higher high, the new higher low, the new higher high, the new higher low, the new higher high. And right now, when I close this particular trade, which was something over here, right? So when I close this particular trade, the reason for me to close is because I saw that the 4 hour was actually shifting, right? I didn't wait for the candle close, to be fair. I saw that it was breaking towards the downside, and I had 20 more minutes for the 4 hour candlestick to close. But what I did is, because I saw this particular rollover, I take it that the market is now shifting on a 4 hour basis from a buy into a sell. And after that 20 minutes, the market did close below. Now, technically, this is the new lower low, and this is the new the new lower high, right? So technically right now, the 4 hour is already in a sell. In fact, if I go to the 2 hour as well, it's in a sell. If I go to the 1 hour, technically it is pretty much in a sell. I know the EMA is coming in as a support, but because I saw all the lower time frames is aligning for a sell, most probably market can even pull all the way back down. Now, don't get me wrong, it can definitely pump and hit my profit target, but I do not want to hold a trade all the way up here, and then the 4 hour probability that I entered, when I entered it was a buy, shifted into a sell, and I continue to hold only for the market to come back to my entry point. So I'd rather close this trade and say, okay, it was a decent trade, and I took a small profits, and I'd rather move on because it's Friday, the market will be closing soon. So I don't want to hold this particular trade over the weekend as well. So yeah, that's about it, guys. That's pretty much the update. Both USDJPY and EURJPY both ended up as a win for me, and I'm happy with the trades for this week. And as usual, I'm done trading for the week. I'll see what's gonna happen next week by doing the usual weekend game plan. And that's about it, guys. Thank you so much, and have a good day. Take care.